you know, unbelievable activity, tsunamis, volcanoes, and earthquakes. And sure enough, we did last year. This year will be, as I predicted, will be even more intense. So record setting last year and another record setting year this year as well, right? So what is causing it? And is there anything we can do? Well, there's really there is something we can do. It's called prayer. Prayer, literally, there were children that prayed. There's like 1 million children all over the world, and they prayed at the same time. The Maharishi effect, and so they're doing this meditation, and they're sending love to the sun, and the sun reacted. Right. So we can have an effect. Right. Is someone else with negative intent have an effect on the sun? I think we're in a cyclical period where the sun acts up like this, and it can cause extreme damage to the earth, as we've seen. If you study the real history, cataclysmic events were accepted. This gradualism that was brought in by the deep state, pretty much, is never in history was gradualism accepted. It was always catastrophism because people experienced it. So we're going to experience catastrophism, right? Darwin came in, the origin of the species, and the gradual change of things. That was all deep state having that put in, guys. It's not gradual. We basically can radically, animals, plants, so forth, can radically adapt. It's not like a long-term adaptation. It's usually radical. Something happens, radical change, and then there's a new species or a new type of the old species. So that's what we're literally going through that, humanity, right? So, of course, the deep state is trying to hijack that, and we'll talk about that as well, right? Lots to talk about tonight. And I know you guys like to go down these rabbit holes, so we'll go down a few of them today. All right, so Stefan Burns. So he's like, weather forecasters can't give a forecast beyond 7 days. I can. Now he can look at the sun activity and what it's doing to the earth, like I just described, and give us a forecast long-term out, just like I do as an intuitive. So here's the science behind that.
Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. We have just observed a major disruption to the polar vortex, sending a bunch of snow and wind and ice, sleet, slush, and more out of the Arctic Circle further south, down into North America, even down into the southern states, into Europe, into the UK, into the far east of Asia, down to Japan. So there's been a tremendous amount of snow. There's been record snowfall in a variety of locations around the globe just over the past week or so. And this is because of the disruption to the polar vortex. We have more volatile climate here on the planet that becomes more and more disrupted, but this isn't a one-time thing. In fact, we just had a really big space weather impact with a G4 geomagnetic storm and also an S4 radiation storm, the strongest in 20 years, which is very likely to keep the disruptions to the polar vortex continuing on for the remainder of winter and into spring. So this is not a one-off event. In fact, I think that we're going to be seeing a...
So that's what I predicted last year, that this winter would last into spring. Now, it won't everywhere, but for a good portion of the globe, it will, right?
A lot more volatile weather in the northern hemisphere as a result of this, because these solar protons and ions and alpha particles and more, I'll explain all this as we go, funnel down into the Arctic Circle because that is where the magnetic field cusp is located. So pretty strange that we had the strongest radiation storm in 20 years, and then right during that time frame and immediately afterwards, we saw this massive disruption to the polar vortex. Here we're looking at snow depth for today. Right now, we see that there's tremendous amount of snow across the northern hemisphere, specifically in the high latitude regions. Of course, that makes sense, but we also see it having extended further south than maybe normal. It's not like we had massive, massive, massive blizzards, but this is definitely a pretty big disruption that has come about. We can see our 2-meter temperature anomaly here. We see that we have some really cold temperatures here in Eurasia, for example, Northern Europe, and then also really down into the south there for North America. And you see that we have these high temperature anomalies in areas that are typically cold. That is the disruption to the polar vortex. If you look at our average temperature right here, we see that just in general, there are some frigid temperatures that are active right now on the planet. What is our polar vortex? We can look at that right here. So this is a stable polar vortex. It's a atmosphere where we live, the atmosphere where we live, the lowest part of the atmosphere that's the most dense, all the way up to the stratosphere. And this is key as it relates to connecting it to space weather and solar storm impacts, because they charge up the ionosphere, and the stratosphere and the ionosphere, they overlap with each other. And if you have a really strong radiation storm, those particles, highly energetic, can pierce further down into the atmosphere, for example, into the stratosphere. So when there's a stable polar vortex, the cold air is contained, and you have this jet stream flowing like this. But when you get a disrupted polar vortex, you see that all of a sudden this jet stream starts to undulate. It's more like a river, kind of flowing, a meandering river. It can pinch off and all this stuff. And we have cold air move south. And then you typically will see warmer temperatures in the area where there originally was that stable polar vortex. So,
okay, so like for my area, the west coast of America and into Nevada, as you see the polar vortex pushing down into the southern and eastern and Midwest area, you see the warm air is being pushed up here into the west coast. All right, so that's why we have unusually warm weather here, which is okay by me, because I was expecting, I saw it coming, but you know, it turned off. And will it come back? I think there's a good possibility we'll get more snow here, but for the moment, we are in some of this massive amounts of snow we got is melting down. It's still icy at night, but during the day we get the sun, which is very strong here in the upper latitudes. Really starts to hit this ice and snow and melt it down a little bit. And then at night, it gets down to the teens and it freezes rock solid again. And then next day, the sun comes out and melts it down a little bit and gets it all wet, and then it freezes again. So slowly but surely, pushing it down, pushing it back until perhaps we get more snow. We do need more snow because although California for the first time in 25 years is out of a drought, if we don't have that long-term snow that melts and keeps everything stabilized and all the reservoirs full, even though the California government, which is the most corrupt government in history of California right now, is doing everything it can to let all of that water flow to the sea. If we don't get the snowpack, it's really going to be bad, because these guys are already criminally, letting all this stuff flow into the sea to begin with. And if there's not any to keep at least those reservoirs somewhat full for the remainder of the year, then these guys are going to burn California, which I already predicted. I predicted that California would burn again this year. All right. So, and this may be why, one of the reasons why, or one of the excuses they use to use their directed energy weapons and burn California.
That's what we're seeing right now. This warm air move north. We're seeing this cold air move south, and that's really hitting North America and Europe and Far East Asia there, with Kamchatka seeing record snowfall in 60 years. That's the peninsula for Russia. And then also Japan seeing some really high snowfall. We're seeing a blizzard come into the United Kingdom right now. Wavy jet stream dumps record snowfall on Russia. This was posted back on January 20th. right as this solar storm impact was coming in. So the key thing to keep in mind.
Now, if you've seen some of the videos and the pictures of Russia, some of them are AI, they're over exaggerated. But as you see here, this looks legit. The snow is all the way up to the street light, right? Imagine the street lights in your city or wherever, and the snow level is all the way up to that. So it is pretty significant in Russia right now.
Here is that space weather does not create these weather systems in general. It just will intensify anything that already exists. It'll make it more volatile too overall. So we already had this disruption starting to occur, and then you have this impact. It's only going to make it bigger, more intense. And for a S4 radiation storm, an impact of that level, we're looking at changes not only weeks from now, but also months and even years from now to our radiation environment, our plasmasphere environment surrounding the Earth. So these sort of disruptions are not a one.
Okay, so years from now, disruption. So as I've been predicting, we're going to get colder and colder and colder for the next several years.
We're likely going to see a more unstable polar vortex going forward for the remainder of winter, all the way to spring, and perhaps even into like next year. So this could last some time. Russia's Far East is buried by its heaviest snowfall in 60 years as a winter blast swept across Asia. We can look here. Heavy snow and ice impact millions as winter storm sweeps across the United States. 84,000 power outages. I think it's like 1 million plus people without power. There have been some casualties, unfortunately. This has been a very significant snowstorm, especially here in the South where they're not used to this. Tremendous amount of.
All right, so I think you guys get the picture. It is definitely going to be, very challenging for the world going forward with these climate changes that are coming, and not the global warming, that the deep state, they always misdirect, guys. And that's part of their process. They want to keep people off guard. They want to, create chaos. So out of that chaos, they come along, they have the solutions, order out of chaos. And that's what they do. They knew that this was, I've been saying for years, that the global warming was a big fat lie. But still they promoted it. Still people believed in it and brought their electric vehicles and so forth because of it. They built windmills, solar farms, and so forth, which would be pretty much obsolete and useless as things start to get colder and colder and colder. All right. So all the money that would have been better utilized to build, very efficient power plants to generate electricity and warmth and so forth for people, and good power plants that wouldn't be taken down in ice storms, because ice storms are here to stay and they're going to get worse. So this, non-Tesla technology that we're using right now, we should have Tesla technology. We've seen these technologies utilized in the past. Tartaria, the Russian area, Tartaria. Of course, they want to make Russia look bad. That's one of the things they've been doing. Russia, because they've had these technologies for a long time in Russia. Of course, they have been taken down by the deep state, and all of the technologies, all those beautiful buildings that were built by the Tartarians have been destroyed over the years. Technologies where trains were being radiated energy. That's what Tesla was trying to do. So the Tartarians already had that. Tesla was trying to bring it back. He got stopped out. And now we have power generation that's very inefficient. Electrical lines, which are easily, destroyed in, hot, inclement weather, whether it be hurricanes, whether it be, these ice storms and so forth. It's a real shit show, and it doesn't need to be this way. But the only way we change this is if we start to get control of this. We basically take back control from the deep state, and there's so many different levels of this, guys, to take back. I mean, they they've injected us with poisons. 70% of the population here in the United States, probably 80-90% in Europe and other places, are injected with poison from COVID-19 that is still causing problems. All right. And if you're not utilizing the technologies that have been given to us, like I started promoting Root Wellness very early on. I promoted, of course, LifeWave. So there's lots of modalities out there combined or by themselves are fantastic for overcoming some of these modalities that are basically transferring us into cyborgs, pretty much, right? Borgs, and we'll talk about that I'll have videos for that in this show where there's people that are coming out and showing that basically when they injected people, they put all kinds of technology in them, and it's not just the people that were injected. I mean, they have it in the food sources, they have it in all kinds of stuff. So if you got injected, that's bad. If you got swabbed, that's bad because that put nanoparticles in you. If you're getting any kind of shots of just about anything right now, or you're taking some of these other alternative modalities for treatments that still have mRNA, then you're going to be infected, right? And so much of humanity now is infected. If you're not doing the things to detox yourself, you're going to succumb. And a lot of people are. It's getting worse as time goes on. All right. So let's look at the upcoming weather. Another storm, like I said, coming in next weekend. It's going to be super cold for much of the U.S. For the remainder of this week, keeping that snow there, keeping some of that ice there. In some places like Texas and so forth, it's melting off, but we're going to get another round. And so let's look at the weather, for the rest of the week and what it's going to look like.
Major winter storm forming right off the East Coast. This one's going to hit different now. This one's going to pull down a lot of cold temperatures and pull up a lot of moisture from the Gulf and the Atlantic. So wherever this does hit along the East Coast is going to bring a lot of snow, anywhere from 1 to 2 feet or more. So I'm going to show you the latest impacts of what's going on with this winter storm, the possibilities, the cold temperatures coming behind it, and something that we really need to watch out for. Now, the latest update on everybody else as well. Let's do not forget about them, everybody. Over 690,000 homes still without power. And right here along the East Coast is where this storm potentially could hit for the ones that's already without power coming back again to this next storm. The highest being Tennessee so far, 237,000 without power. Mississippi, 130,000 without power. Louisiana, 115,000 without power. Texas, 47,000 without power. Then Kentucky at 38,000. West Virginia, 12. Virginia, 16. North Carolina, 13. South Carolina, 30,000. And Georgia, 21,000. And there's others without power. It just don't.
Now, I'm sure probably just about everybody in this audience has been through, storms or, ice storms or whatever. Excuse me, where you've been without power for a long period of time is really a bummer. But you counted on, maybe 1, 2, 3 days, sometimes up to a week, depending on the storm, you were going to get power back. Now, some people might not get power back for quite some time, right?
Meet the criteria of at least 10,000 without power. So we have seen the number get a lot better throughout today, but unfortunately, these cold temperatures are coming crashing down again for tonight. And the latest visuals coming out just from Mississippi alone is just crazy. These videos are from Oxford, Mississippi, and look at the amount of ice, everybody. These videos are down below in the description of this video, so you can go watch it in its entirety. It's crazy how much ice came down. All we're seeing is shots like this of all the ice on the trees and the power lines. Everybody, look at this. This is all northern Mississippi, and other states are looking just like this as well. Now, immediate impacts for tonight, we do have chances for freeze and fog for northern Texas. This is for portions of north and central Texas tonight through Tuesday morning. Then again on Tuesday night through Wednesday morning. So you got to watch out for the chances for freeze and fog. Now, just starting at chances for minor impacts, you can see here we're already starting at Saturday morning, bringing in chances for at least minor impacts already getting started. As you go through Saturday evening, this grows from Georgia all the way towards the Carolinas and Virginia. So if you're anywhere from Atlanta all the way towards Columbia, Greenville, all the way towards Raleigh, even the East Coast by Richmond, Virginia, be aware this is where the hardest hit of snow could come along. I'm also showing in the Canadian model that it could hit the precip a little bit further towards the south. So we must keep every possibility in order for right now. And showing as we go through Sunday morning, through Sunday evening, still staying right along the Carolinas, but quickly going offshore. Your chances for this going towards the northeast lessens. So the biggest chance for snow is going to be from Georgia going towards Virginia, and then maybe across the Delmarva and some of New Jersey. Now, this will update. This is the information that we have as of right now. Now, another factor we need to look at is our data. So when we look at the Arctic Oscillation, you see that cold air coming through, but still showing is coming right back again as we go into possibly next weekend. And when you look at your NAO, your North Atlantic Oscillation, showing that we're going to be in a continuous blocking pattern as it stays in that negative. This will keep all the cold air bottling towards the central, the southern, and the eastern U.S.
All right. So that's the predictive models, but that's not the intuitive models. The intuitive models have it going like you heard from the science expert, Stefan Burns, that this is going to go into spring like I predicted it last year, that it would go into the spring and there would probably be any spring. And for a lot of places in the United States, there wasn't. Now, this year, for some places, there won't be a spring again. And it may even go into some of the summer this time. So remember, it's going to gradually, continually get worse and worse and worse. And the globalists and so forth, and then there's people that don't want to sensationalize and don't want to get you scared. I say, give me the facts so I can deal with it, right? But you're not going to get that from the mainstream, and you're absolutely not going to get that. You're going to get lies from the globalists, and they continue to have some power within the press, within the media, of course, and they're going to continue their lies. But we are going to give you the best information going forward, so you can make your plans and use your intuition to guide yourself. All right. So yeah, it's going to be continually challenging, not just with the weather, but with earthquake activity. I don't know about the hurricanes. Seemed like they kept the hurricanes out this last year. Will they return this next year? I haven't seen them. I haven't seen it yet, but once we get closer, then I'll start to try and get those predictions, because predictions last year were accurate as far as like the intensity of the hurricanes that I saw, which we had 3 of them, which I predicted that were above Cat 5. And fortunately, none of them hit the mainland. All right. So they all went out to sea. And I talked about how I said, why doesn't somebody go out there and get those big tankers and cargo ships that have been converted into creating these storms and take them down? And I was thinking that the Special Forces guys would do that. And we didn't have those storms hit the United States. How about that? So like I said, we can't inform and we can't get the information out that will, help transform our consciousness, transform humanity into something better. But we have to be ahead and we have to work together. Now, there's still a lot of people out there that want to come in and play analytical, stupid games and, discount this because it's beyond their comprehension that someone could actually look into the future and see things. So There are those of us that can, and actually every one of you can. And I think more and more of you are starting to tap into that. So that's the promise that we have going forward, that all of us will have these possibilities. Once you're able to see these things, then you'll be like, well, I can see them. Can I have an effect on them? Oh yeah, that's next level, right? So, continually, I've been sharing this for many years. I think a lot of you are starting to pick up on it. That's the way it was for me, for different things, right? Not the weather. No one really ever, went into the weather like this with me. I just naturally did it. I don't know why, but I did. So it is moving the right direction. The weather, as far as consciousness, is one of the greatest things that we can have an impact on. All right. It's very easy for human consciousness to have an effect on, I guess, because there's more grounding that we have, where our consciousness, once it connects with the frequencies of weather and so forth, even if they're being manipulated, we can have somewhat, if we work together, an impact on it. Now, other things we can also have an impact on. And I've been talking about that for years as well. And that's sending love to the baddies, right? Their frequencies are not at the love vibrational frequencies. They're in fear, they're in anger. They love chaos, like we talk about. They get off on it. They're psychopaths, right? And some of them are hybrids, from other species, which are very negative. So they don't like the rest of us humans, and every chance they get to make our lives miserable or kill us off, they do it, right? We already know that. It's a fact, right? COVID-19, it's a fact, right? And we'll, like I said, I'm going to continually inform about that. There's a lot of people talk about it now. We couldn't talk about it before. And if you did, you got in trouble or you got killed, right? So now we're actually able to get more of this information out. So that's good. All right. So the next one, we're going to go into James O'Keefe reveals shocking details of army of anti-ICE agitators who have taken over Minnesota. And he's on the Megyn Kelly show. Nino Rodriguez was, putting out a post where he said, say prayers for, James O'Keefe, because he put out a post where, he had agitators who are trying to kill him. Well, you're going to see. That was a fact. And so I'm going to break this down. There's more information in this. We have Kash Patel that's talking about how they're finding funders of these. So imagine that. If you're finding the funders and you take the funders down, this might stop it out in other places. So this is a good thing. We're moving in the right direction, guys.
All this over the weekend. Tell us about your experience.
Hey, Megan. I was actually in Minnesota for a different reason on Friday and Saturday morning, and I was in undercover journalism, doing some undercover journalism, and I was there when the shots were fired. Just absolute coincidence. So I walked over to the location in what appeared to be like the suburbs of Minnesota, a relatively nice neighborhood. People need to understand that what's so shocking to me is that this is not like a bad neighborhood. This is just a suburban place. And this is before the autonomous zone was formed. I don't know, about 11, 12 a.m. I was walking. We parked our vehicle, got out of our vehicle. We did
Okay, so in another autonomous zone, just like they did in Seattle back in 2019 when the George Floyd riots were raging, right? It was basically they cordoned off an area of Seattle, had stores and so forth. They were keeping people from moving in and out of there if they didn't like them. That's what they're doing again here in Minneapolis, doing the same thing. They've set up roadblocks, they cordon off streets. They set up in these areas. There were rapes and murders within this zone that they created. And eventually Trump's like, I'm going to send in the military unless you clean it up. And then of course, the governor and the mayor finally cleaned it up. but not until after it had been set up for a long period of time. So I think they set this up yesterday, and we'll see how long this is going to last.
Undercover people in the mob. But what was striking to me is right when I parked my vehicle, as soon as I got out, it's negative 12 degrees. So every part of your skin is completely covered. They can't identify you. Immediately, 5 women who are white began interrogating me and asking me who I am and what my identity is. I've never experienced anything quite like this. I actually told.
All right. So obviously information is being passed. So somebody, as James O'Keefe or one of the other groups is going to talk about, is they were followed by press, by I forget which press organization, Reuters or something, and when they started to do stuff, it seems like these agitators, as he's calling them, these are people that are paid to be here, guys. This is a paid, organized, very highly organized, very. They've been schooled, they've been taught, they've been informed. They all, are on the same sheet of music. There's basically documents that are starting to be shared where they have these documents that basically tell them how to work together, what to do in this case, what to do in that case. And it sounds like this is a playbook that they were taught when it comes to James O'Keefe. And, he had security and all this kind of stuff. They took a knife away from his, former Marine security guy. I was like, what? And I think he said his gun was back in the car or something. I'm like, what kind of security guy is this? But anyway, it is you're going to see. They're going to show how they attacked him. And man, if I was a security guy and they started, throwing, using deadly force, it was throwing a water bottle that's frozen at you. If that hit you in the head, you're dead. You could fall, and then they're on top of you, and they could beat you to death. Right. So I'm not going down there because I'd be blowing people away. Right. And I don't know how. I even said in a post, that's like, you shouldn't be rolling unless you're ready to throw down. All right. You go in a situation like that, you're basically almost surrendering your life. These people are highly trained. They're very motivated, and they are ready to throw down, right? As you're going to hear.
When I was press, and they proceed. It was almost like they were going to do a citizen's arrest on me unless I identified myself, showed them my ID. So I told them, I'm
James, forgive me.
Yeah.
You guys have given us a couple of videos exclusive to you. People can check them out at your website. So we'll play a couple of them as you tell the story. And there is one of the moment I think you're referring to where they're demanding you show your press badge in SOT 9A. Here it is.
Yeah, I want to see your work on the fucking phone. I'm going to show you. Hand it
Here's
to
my
us.
press badge.
If it's real, just hand it to us.
Yeah, no.
We'll give it back. These guys are not press. I looked up social media. It's from Portugal. They're not from Portugal.
All right. See, she already looked it up. Boom. He's trying to pose as somebody from Portugal. He's all covered up, as you guys can see, so they can't recognize him because it's super cold there. Everybody's covered up. You have skin out there. You're going to it's going to get frozen pretty quick. It's negative 15 or some ridiculous. So these are the outside force. All right. And they're trained to do certain things, which they're doing right here, to recognize anyone that could come, that could get information about their activities. Right. So somebody, like I said, within the press or some of their people on another level, again, outside of that, are watching. Right. And so they probably recognized him or didn't recognize him. And then these guys very quickly approached him. So you're seeing they have zones going out. This is extremely well organized. They are ready to do war against America, guys. And I've been talking about this for years.
And none of their work is political at all.
idiots.
Okay, we're not.
So
Keep going, James.
So we'll tell the story out of sequence. But what happened there is they started yelling, shame, shame, shame. And I mean, again, this is not yet even an autonomous zone. I'm somewhere a mile away from the shooter.
Okay, so they have their code words, shame, and other zones, that there are people from the press that's not from the press, that's part of their press on their side, right? This is a press that's not part of us, and they could be a threat or a danger to our activities.
Shooting. They followed us to our car. They started throwing things at us. Now remember, negative 12 degrees, a bottle of water will freeze in like 20, 30 seconds. And it's a weapon. And they started throwing objects at me and my security guard. In fact, they actually patted my security guard down. They are the authority. I've never experienced anything like this. I mean, if you have a gun, what are you gonna do? Fire it at them? I mean, that's not gonna work. So they confiscated the weapon off of my Marine security detail.
All right, now flip the script. Flip the script at the one guy that got shot yesterday. Right. So you have, zones, the ICE, they have zones, they recognize people. This guy that got shot yesterday was recognized, I believe, as part of an organizer of these riots and criminals and so forth that are highly paid to do these these riots. So what we're seeing is a reverse, I believe, where you're going to see ICE agents are going to target some of their people. And I think that's what happened yesterday. They tried to take him down. It looked like to me that he was trying to draw a gun. Looks like it might have gotten away from him, but they still shot him. I don't know. I've seen, different clips and so forth. I wasn't there. I'm not going to say, what these guys are doing, but it does appear to me that they targeted this guy, right? I don't know if he was doing anything wrong or if he was actually, instigating something. So that's where we're at now. Regardless, if he comes to, one of these events, yes, everyone has, the right to carry if you have the qualifications, concealed carry permit. I'm going to assume that he did. I don't know that, but once you start to interfere with law enforcement and you have a weapon, that's a felony and you're a threat to them. So regardless, he was in the wrong. So if you got shot and you got killed, it's sending a message, isn't it? They're going to try and play this as they're doing, like they did the one with the woman tried to run over the one, ICE agent or Border Patrol, whoever that was. And she got shot. You remember the video of her, and she's like all innocent, like, oh, after she'd been, getting in the way and following them and impeding them and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, get out of the car, we're going to arrest you pretty much. And she's like, and her partner was like, what are you going to do, tough guy? Like, what are you trying to start a fight with a man? So anyway, this is what we're up against. So for me in this situation, what I want to do is I want to let them know that if you want to F around, you're going to find out, and I'm gonna hammer down so friggin' bad. And that's what we would do in special forces. We would find the head of the enemy and we would hammer it, right? And it's like, okay, who else? And then we'd hammer it again. So over and over again until no one wants to volunteer to be leader, right? So that's what needs to start happening. The war is on. So you're going to see these guys trying, like they're doing right now. What side do you want to win? It's kind of the same thing that Tim Walz said. What side do you want to win? He tried to play it off as, his people and the people that are rioting are good. He's like, I'm so proud of the people of Wisconsin that are standing up, Minneapolis, that are standing up to these illegal ICE agents or whatever, No, this is Civil War type stuff. That's insurrection talk, right? So we're in a war with these people, right? So do you want the law abiding, citizens to be protected and have law enforcement come in and take down the criminals and take them out of the street? And in the meantime, you have these other criminals. They're criminals because they're impeding law enforcement. They should all just be arrested. They should just come in with massive numbers of buses and just arrest all these people. If 50,000, arrest all of them, put them in jail, put them in a stadium somewhere and let them rot there. Right. And then slowly, methodically go through all of them, find out, who's being paid. And if they're being paid, then they go to jail, right? All of them that are being paid, which is all of them pretty much, guys, right? There's probably very, very little organic activity here. Now we're already starting to see some of these people are arming with long guns and body armor and gas masks in locations. And they're saying, oh, we're just security for our neighborhood, right? So things are getting ready to go big. It hasn't happened yet, but it will. And when it does, then things are going to get hot and heavy. I think that, they should already have military in here. I think they should just come in and clear that zone out, just like, the Seattle thing started. This should be like, all right, they did the same thing. So let's send in the troops, right? And just clear them out and just, take them all into custody, sort them all out. Oh, you're organic. You actually live here and you're just a dumbass. Go home. Don't do it again. We see you again. We're going to arrest you. We're going to put you away for a while. Right. And then the people are being paid, arrest them, put them in prison for a long time, years. Right. So they can't do this anymore. So this is the way it should be going. I don't know if at some point it's going to go that direction, but I'm telling you right now, if it doesn't start, then there's going to be body bags, lots of them. They're going to be filled.
Followed us to our.
Wait, a gun?
Well, he left his gun in the car, but he had like a knife or something on him, and they.
What the frick kind of security guy is that? What the hell?
Confiscated. They patted him down, like they're the police. Now the police in Minnesota have left. The police have left this area completely. So you're completely on your own, and I'm shaken, Megan. You have me on to talk about my film Line in the Sand. I've ambushed the cartel. They run away from me. They don't like the cameras. These people will kill you. I've never quite experienced, like, I guess I would call it communism up close. Like, I've never experienced anything like this. So we go to their car and they start throwing projectiles at us, rocks, ice bottles, what appeared to be a knife. Well, I'm still going through all the footage. I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. You saw it in the video. It was terrifying. And we have a couple clips we've given you, but I'm honestly a little bit shaken. I wouldn't say I'm scared, but I'm shaken. And I guess we'll unpack all this. But what struck me is how organized these people are. Every car.
Hold the thought on the organization, because I do want to get into that. Let me show the audience a little bit of what you were subjected to. Let's hear SOT 10A and 10B together.
All right, so you're going to see a knife. This is a knife, all right? So my projectile a knife, but they obviously didn't know how to throw. And watch, it's going to hit him.
The crowd's following James.
Right there.
Now you can see the
So that's a knife.
projectile hit James in the back.
And I don't know, maybe it was a Marine's knife, dumbass.
Shut the fucking doors. Shut the door. Shut the fucking doors.
So somebody's obviously stressed out there. So you don't go into these zones, guys, unless you're ready to throw down, right? Obviously, these guys did not belong there. They're not at the level, right? So they're lucky to get out of there without being, severely beaten, the least, and something worse in the worst.
We're fucking press,
We're
dude.
pressed.
Through a
You know what the
frozen
First
water
Amendment is? Yes or no?
They threw a frozen.
Ice.
Yeah, so they know they're not their press. They're not their press. So we know the press is infiltrated. And the press is, you know, they get their badges and they can get up close and they look like they're taking pictures, but they're taking pictures of probably things that the other side and their leadership, they want pictures of, you know, their formations, how they move, who's in charge. This is what their press is doing.
Ice brick at the car.
Take off your vest. Again, quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, and the reason why is because there's no one there to help. Like, there's no police. The police have stood down. I mean, you know, you tell them they're press. We have more footage. They'll kill you. They don't care. Anybody who's not them is their enemy. If you are a journalist, you're a Fed. And I was trying to reason with them, Megan. I was trying to like talk to them rationally. Like, I'm not here. I'm not taking a position for or against ICE. I'm a reporter. They said they'll kill me. So that was kind of.
So no, again, just be aware. They have press on their side. They know who they are. If someone else comes in, they're, like he said, they could possibly kill them.
Perhaps a glimpse into the future, I suppose, of what we're up against. There's more to the story here. I can tell you what happened next. We try to go back to our hotel, Megan. We're staying downtown. And the person at the hotel signals to one of them. And we then realize that we're in danger. We have to leave our hotel. So we go to a second hotel. And we've got someone.
What? What do you mean he signaled? He told them that you were staying there?
Yeah. Yeah. These people have spotters everywhere. They have spotters in every street corner. They have people working at the hotels. They somehow got our license plate, rental car. My driver.
So this is pretty much the CIA playbook, guys. When I was in the CIA, we would pay street vendors, we would pay hobos and or people that acted like hobos because they get paid well. They weren't hobos, but they would, you know, if we told them what to look for, and then, you know, we gave them a burner phone, and if they saw certain things, they would, you know, call the number and, you know, report, and then, you know, that was it for that phone. So then we would meet them again later and give another phone and give them more information of what to look for. But it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook. So these guys are, as you're hearing, very highly organized in multiple levels going outward, even all the way to the hotels. Remember, there was like a Hilton Garden Inn, I believe, that was, you know, telling ICE agents that they had to get out. And then the Hilton organization said, yeah, we called them and fixed that. And then there were, I don't know, the Shirley guy, or whatever, went down to check it out. And Nick Shirley, I don't know if it was Nick Shirley or some Nick other guy. So Nick Sorter or something like that. So I think it was Nick Sorter went down to check it. And so he goes in and says, yeah, you know, I heard this. And the guy at the desk says, like, no, we're not allowing any. My management said no ICE agents, no federal agents can stay at our hotel. So he was telling them, you know, Hilton put out that it was open now, that anyone could stay here. And he's like, well, that's not what I've been told to do. So Nick Sorter got out there. That went out on the airwaves. And then Hilton Hotels basically said, that's one of our affiliates, and no, they are no longer our affiliates. And we're going to take down that signage and all their connections to us. But this is the way it's happening. This radiates out on multiple levels. The criminality, and imagine all the money that's being paid. Imagine the money to the owner of that Hilton. You would think that, you know, it would take a lot of money to, like, you know, make him turn. Yeah, it probably did. So there is a lot of money involved in this. And of course, the Somalis are trying to get out of there with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of $1 million in suitcases. So, there's a lot of money that's been stolen in this. That's what really needs to be found out. And that's what they're trying to do. But this is what the, criminals, the Democrat criminals are basically sitting in these radicals that are paid to come in and, cause problems.
Got a text message, a death threat from a burner number on his phone, which
yeah, you posted it.
I did post that, the death threat. Yes.
It reads, "We know you're in Minneapolis. You're with O'Keefe and his crew of Nazis. You're in a white Ford license plate," and then you blocked it out, "from Florida. You have 1 hour to leave or you're dead." That was to your driver?
Yeah, that was not to my cell phone. That was to the driver of the vehicle who rented the car. We don't know. I've had the FBI reach out to me. I've had the Attorney General of the United States actually DM'd me. Bondi DM'd me this morning. And we're trying to figure out if we can trace it. But that was not to my cell phone. That was to the driver of the car, which I speculate they ran the tags and found out who rented the vehicle. And they followed us to the hotel. And usually I wrote in my tweet or my post that usually I'm able to lose a tail. Like, they give up. You just drive down the freeway. We go to a second hotel in a town called Wayzata, Minnesota, which is kind of a rich suburban town on the lake where they do.
So again, these guys don't belong here. All right. So I've driven in combat zones where they have tried to follow us and so forth. And I know how to follow. My wife and I, we lived in another place, and she contracted this guy to come in and do some work in our house. And he basically was robbing us and screwing us over. So we took him to court, and he and his buddy, after we pretty much won and they had to pay us, which they never did, they followed us. And of course, I lost them. And this is the level of people that are coming in to try and play this game. You can't come in. This is to me, this is a combat zone, right? And you have to come in ready to go heavy, ready to go hard, right? So James O'Keefe, obviously, he got a little winded there. He's got nervous when he was talking about it. He does not belong in this environment, obviously, right? So we're probably going to see some of these people, the good guys, as James O'Keefe would be. I don't know if he's going to be taken out, but we'll probably see some of that. All right. Some of these guys, some of this trained army is going to start to take out people like James O'Keefe.
Ice fishing. And a guy walks in, black block, looks like Antifa. He just stares at me as I'm checking into the hotel. And I then realize I can't actually lose these people. I have to leave the state of Minnesota. Do we drive to Chicago? What are we going to do? And my team was honestly pretty scared. And that's when I went to the parking garage and posted a video of me reading the death threat as we then proceed.
So this is where you have to get very, very highly skilled security teams to come in and move these guys around. That's what I did in the CIA. So I'm moving around the top guys and gathering information. We found Osama bin Laden. So that was capable because of guys like me, right? And of course, and I'm on another level with my intuition, but you can't come in and roll around in this environment because you're seeing how much depth there is. Some of you guys can't come in looky-loo, right? So maybe some of you will be like, I'm gonna go down and check that out. You might get killed. All right. So this is a combat zone. Do not go in there. And those of you that are not part of this criminal activity, that you're, let's say, organic, and you're a liberal and you don't believe in what's going on there and you want to push back on ICE, you're going to be cannon fodder for these people. They're probably going to push you up to the front and then shoot around you. And then ICE is going to shoot back at whoever's shooting, and you're probably going to get hit and you're going to die. Right. So this is going to be something that's going to escalate at some point, and then it's going to spill over to other cities. So everyone's watching what's happening in Minneapolis, and they're planning how they're going to roll going forward. So maybe, fortunately, this inclement weather has come through and has dampened the activities that maybe they had planned, guys. So Just be aware of all that. I observe everything. And if you're not observing everything with a bigger picture in mind, you're not seeing what's really going on here.
Need to go to our third location and try to just extract my team out of there because they feel like their lives are in danger.
Yeah, and that your security team gets to the point where they realize they cannot keep you safe.
Correct.
And it's not just you. It's not just you, James. There was an extraordinary piece of tape out of Minneapolis. This is posted on the New York Post, but we found it on X originally, where anti-ICE protesters violently swarmed a Minneapolis hotel. They're big on swarming the hotels where they think press like you or ICE or Border Patrol are staying. They believe federal officers were staying there. They began hurling items, quoting here from the New York Post, at people inside, smashing in windows, graffitiing FUCK ICE across the building's facade on Sunday. The large mob descended on the Home 2 Suites by Hilton Hotel last Sunday. They shoved and hurled objects at a Minneapolis Police Department officer and others just inside the hotel's lobby and attempted to push their way in. We're showing some video of it now, forcing those inside to use 2 large vending machines to physically block the rowdy demonstrators. We're all locals. It's all locals, one man shouted as he tried to ward off the protesters. And then we see this piece of tape with a federal agent who's been guarding the hotel come out and not scream, but like yell with the people standing there. Where is the local PD? Let's listen to it. SOT 12.
Is everyone press?
We're overnight. We're all members of the press. We're all press here. Okay. This officer appears to be bleeding from the mouth. Oh my God. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
He's all right. He's all right.
Where's the local PD? That's my question.
All right. So, the press asking him questions. That's their press. All right. So they're scoping this out for potentially a future, riot, because they've already rioted the place. I guess they gave up. They figured maybe somebody got to them and said, yeah, there's nobody there. So now this guy comes out and you're seeing him being questioned by their press.
For the press.
Okay. This officer.
Where is the local PD?
What's your message to the local PD, sir?
No.
Okay. Well, the mayor. Very chaotic. Sir, while you're giving messages, what would your message to the protesters that want you out be? As long as you're getting comment.
This guy is bloodied from the nose and the mouth, James, and asking, basically, where the hell's the backup? This is a federal agent.
Yeah, I mean, there's no incentive. The incentives are not aligned. You can't hold them accountable. You can't defend yourself. You can't shoot back. You can't fight back. You can use a mace or something. Or
Yeah, that sucks. So